Hello and welcome to my review of The Story and the Engine. And I have a notice for Russel T. Davies. I'm not sure if I did this bit at the start of the last review, but I have got to say, do not fumble the finale. I need to make an entire video on this, because my God, if we keep going like this and Russel doesn't fumble episode 7/8, we are in for an all-timer season of Docky Woo. Because this episode was great. Look, it's not quite for me like an up there with a well, and I think I slightly preferred Lucky Date. Look, what I'll say about this episode is there are elements that just they are proper like heights of this season. Like, for example, the ending. Like, yes, I think it's a perfectly valid. Yes, I like this episode, by the way, if you haven't gotten that. So if that's all you're here for, banging, you can click off. But yes, having the whole, oi oi, I'm the doctor, I've got a lot of story. Yes, that's not the most interesting. It is an interesting resolution, but it's not the most original. Original was the word I was looking for. But the way they do it, and I'm just an utter sucker for like little video clips of past doctors, and the reason why this one works is because it's a story about stories. So fair enough, that is a very, very good resolution. It's like, you know, the rings of Akaten, you know, you're a bit like, oh, oi, oi, take my memories then. You're a bit like, each example works in context. I think the next time that resolution happens, I think it will be worthy of criticism, because like, there are other examples as well. But because of the clips of the Doctor, and there are little elements of this story, like I said, that are just peak Who. Like, the Joe Martin cameo is utterly fantastic. I do have a nitpick, but subscribe, because I have a whole video coming out about the Joe Martin situation, and don't worry, it's not any Chibnall bashing. It's more, if anything, the use of Joe Martin since the Timeless Child, rather than the Timeless Child itself. You know what I mean. But yeah, the Joe Martin cameo within itself, fantastic, brilliant. By the way, I should have said spoilers at the start, but not gonna lie. If you're gonna click on a review, there's gonna be some spoilers for the episode. Watch the episode, don't watch my review. What else did I like? There was some lovely, genuinely lovely plot elements here. And I feel like the thing with the map and shooting and the hair, and I just think thematically, this episode is so rich with some lovely themes and some lovely bits of dialogue, and it all tying so nice in the plot. And the best example I can give of that is the way that Shooty's hair is done to then reflect the map, and it's just, oh, there's just some gorgeous ideas at play here. I think the performances here, yeah, there are some very, very good performances. That the villain, even though obviously he's not really that much of a villain by the end, but yeah, that performance was utterly fantastic. I think there was a thing, because obviously we didn't know if there was going to be the big, you know, oi oi, today's the day where we're filming a big thing that's going to change Who forever, and we thought that was, so maybe it's being filmed on the same day as Vada in the TARDIS. Maybe it was filmed on a different day. Maybe it's part of episode 6, is it part of a similar shooting block? Maybe the Joe Martin scene was filmed on that day, but obviously we thought it was going to be Vada in the TARDIS, it was going to be something mental. That being said, when I saw that Belinda was trapped in the TARDIS, I was a bit like, my God, are we going to have Belinda trapped in the TARDIS all this episode? That was going to annoy me. Which, by the way, thinking of Belinda, not that Belinda had, you know, Belinda was absolutely fine this episode, but there wasn't tons for Belinda to do. The child, I've seen on Twitter, so if you don't want this spoiled for you, the child is Poppy from Space Babies. Yeah, there's a little Space Babies link in there, and I think we knew from leaks that there were going to be elements of Space Babies coming back, and it was going to thematically come back within the finale, but like, that's a cool little hint to the future. I also, because this is a review and I have opinions, I also have opinions on the Anita Dobson, Mrs. Flood cameo, which I've also got a full video coming out on. That's been filmed, but I haven't edited it yet because I'm unorganised. Honestly, the thing is, people have been comparing the Mrs. Flood arc to the Susan Twist arc. And I get it, because it is, you know, person appears as different characters. The reason why, up until this point, I've liked it is because it's been a different vibe. Instead of just the character just fitting into the scenario quite normally, nothing abnormal going on, like Susan Twist, this one, you know, you've had Mrs. Flood, you know, pop in and, you know, have a little wink to the camera or have something slightly fourth wall breaking to say, and you know it's Mrs. Flood in the role instead of you know it's Mrs. Flood out of role rather than Susan Twist in role, which makes it fun. The reason why I bring this up is because if anyone wants to make that complaint, this is the episode to do it, because that was just a Susan Twist style appearance, and I get they wanted to. I know Russell, you know, they kind of wanted to make a bit out of Mrs. Flood appearing in every episode, just like they wanted to do with Susan Twist. The problem is, if you don't have a natural place to fit Mrs. Flood in the story, I'd rather you just didn't. This is the one episode where that criticism, like, this is the time to make it, guys. In terms of other elements, yeah, I think, again, another fantastic shooty performances. Again, I don't think this was, I think there were elements of this story that were quite slow build, maybe a little bit too slowly for me, you know, just in terms of some of the bits, you know, in like the opening 20 minutes, it was quite slow, and I would have liked things to have picked up slightly. It just didn't quite, I don't know, it didn't quite get there. It was all building to that like lovely, thematically rich finale, which was brilliant and did work really well. I just don't think it hit height. Like, for me, as like a Tennant fan, if you're asking me what, like, you know, not that that's particularly relevant, but it's kind of relevant where I'm going to. The reason why I say, like, I might prefer, like, The Well, is just because, like, The Well was just, like, a sequel, just, like, an episode I loved, and they just, like, stuck the landing, and it was fantastic. This episode was, like, very, very good. Solid 8 out of 10. Brilliant, just, like, linking to Shooty and what he wants to do with the Doctor and like his experiences, and just from like a character piece, it's just lovely, and just some fantastic, like, you know, we're gonna have some right-wing bigots probably talking about this episode, but you know, I think it was genuinely a fantastic episode that does something different within the Whoniverse. 60-year show, we gotta do something different. That's my review. Please pop this video a like, please pop this video a comment and a subscribe. I'm making tons of content. I'm getting back on the content train. So yes, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Comment your thoughts. Give me your review. Bye!